Welcome back. If you've just joined us, you're watching the news at 10 on Channels Television, coming to you live from Lagos and Abuja. A reminder of our top stories. 25 Rivers lawmakers clash with the police as they attempt to resume plenary at the Assembly. Human Rights Watch alleges non-prosecution of perpetrators of violence in Kaduna and Plateau states. Lecturers await resumption order from their union leaders 24 hours after truce with the federal government. And Bangladesh executes Islamist leader Abdul Mullah over atrocities in 1971 War of Independence. Well, a quick reminder to you that all our top stories are on our website, channelstv.com, and on youtube.com/channelsweb. To get us on the move, visit m.channelstv.com to view us live on your mobile device. You can also download the Channels TV app for Android, iOS, and Windows phones from their respective stores. Of course, you can now interact with the Channels Eyewitness feature on our Android and Windows 8 platforms. So if you have a picture or video to share with us, all you need to do is download the Channels TV Android app on your device, swipe to reveal the Eyewitness menu, and then follow the instructions to share your reports, your pictures, and videos. Now, the reports of the clash between the Rivers State Assemblyman and the police is quite worrying, and this is coming barely 24 hours after the former President Obasanjo wrote a strongly worded letter to President Goodluck Jonathan on the negative impact the present political crisis may have on the nation. Well, that letter is still generating some reactions from a cross-section of Nigerians. To take a look at all this, I'm now being joined on the news at 10 by a senior advocate of Nigeria, Mr. Moyo Shori Onigbajo. Thank you so much for joining us on the news at 10.
It's a pleasure to be with you.
All right, let's start from the River State Assemblyman. It seems in recent times, each time they gather there, it ends in violence and the police having to come in. Having heard from the court yesterday, what do you think should be the legal process or the procedure to gain access to the chambers?
Well, you know, when a court pronounces judgment, the judgment takes effect from when the judge reads it. So it is surprising that when the court has declared that the National Assembly could not have taken over the functions of the State House of Assembly, and the members of the State House of Assembly try to go back to resume their duties in accordance with the court of law, it is surprising that the police, who are supposed to be the enforcers of this judgment, are the ones preventing the judgment from being enforced. It's an irony of sorts, and a lot of politics, you know, has been allowed to reign over good sense, even over the laws of the land, because the action of the police is clearly contemptuous of the judgment of a duly constituted court. But
looking at in terms of interpretation, yes, the pronouncement was made, but because there was already a problem already, does it mean that after the pronouncement, everybody should just go back, or there is no further legal thing they need to do to gain access? They should just carry on?
Well, there are further legal steps that can be taken, you know, but I don't see what the position of the police, of the Nigerian police, in all this. If a court passes a judgment, it is left to either party to take steps. The party who is dissatisfied can appeal and ask for the judgment to be suspended, or what we call in legal parlance, stayed. Now, the duty of the police is just to obey the court order. If the court says that the State House of Assembly can resume its duties, then the police must comply.
Well, what the police have said is that they're not aware, or they don't have any such information or order. And
well, it's becoming somewhat convenient now for most authorities in Nigeria, when court orders are made, which doesn't favor them, to feign ignorance and start claiming that they are not aware.
What do you advise them to do now, the assembly members, to be able to get in?
Well, it's unfortunate, because if a court judgment is being flouted, your only recourse is to go back to the court and ask the court to compel the recalcitrant parties to obey, i.e. you call in the police, who are the only ones who have that authority. But in this instance, it's the very same police who are supposed to enforce this judgment that are the obstruction in its path. So who do they call to? And this sort of thing is what can lead to the law and order breaking down completely.
Okay, let's look at another burning issue, that strongly worded letter by the former president yesterday to President Jonathan. We saw all that and the way the reaction has gone, the back and forth, and yet we hear again that they had some breakfast in Kenya, etc. Does that surprise you?
Well, if you look at former President Obasanjo's antecedents, it shouldn't surprise anybody. He's done it before. I believe sometime this year, he had criticized the president openly, and there were daggers drawn, only for him to turn up the Sunday at the Aso Rock service. They had lunch together, and they even met in the United Kingdom at the launch of, I believe, President Obasanjo's foundation or something the next day. So if you look at his antecedents, it doesn't surprise anybody. Even though so many people have said that the allegations are weighty and past presidents should look into it, etc., you don't see that as such. No, what doesn't surprise me is the fact that they had lunch or they met together, a breakfast meeting together in Kenya. I'm not surprised by that. The accusations or the contents of President Obasanjo's letter are very weighty. In a way, it speaks the minds of so many Nigerians who are concerned about the state of affairs of the nation. He having been in the corridors of power for a while, and his clout, was in a very good position to have written that letter, voicing the opinion of quite a number of people. It's for the presidency to react in a proper manner. The other thing there is that, such interventions between former presidents should not have been made public. So that's the other thing there.
Right. I'm going to thank you so much for sharing your insight with us here on the News at 10. I've been speaking with the senior advocate of Nigeria, Mr. Muyashuri Onigbajo. We've been looking at the various issues that have been cropping up in our politics and in our country. That have been cropping up in our politics and in.
The People's Democratic Party, PDP, has taken the 5 defecting governors from the party to court. The party is asking the courts to declare their seats vacant for joining the All Progressives Congress, APC. The governors are Alhaji Murtala Yanko Adamawa, Rotimi Amechi of Rivers, Alhaji Magatakada Wamako of Sokoto, Alhaji Rabiu Kwankwaso of Kano, and Alhaji Abdul Fatai Ahmed of Kwara. Named as defendants in the suit along with the 5 governors is the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC. The party is also asking the courts to order the Houses of Assembly of the affected states to impeach the governors. In the suit filed by Dr. Alex Zion, the party cited sections 177C, 221 and 222C of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria as a ground for the courts to declare them ineligible to remain in office as governors having defected to APC. The chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, Professor Atahiru Jega, has reaffirmed the commitment of the commission to conduct credible elections in 2015. While addressing resident electoral commissioners in Abuja, Professor Jega emphasized the need for the commissioners to streamline preparations for the general elections in order to avoid the lapses experienced in the Anambra governorship poll, where he challenged the commissioners to provide the necessary leadership that will guarantee free, fair and credible elections, beginning with the governorship elections in Ekiti and Osun states in 2014.
Yes, we are all aware. We are moving into the last lap of our work and preparations in the next 1 month or so as we prepare for the 2015 general elections. May I use this opportunity, therefore, to urge all of us to continue to do our best as we prepare for that election. Of course, there will be two other governorship elections, namely Ekiti and Osun State, before the 2015 elections. The challenge for us is to ensure that we make these two governorship elections as the test case in terms of remarkable improvements before the 2015 general elections. Obviously, all the lessons we've learned from Anambra and all the efforts that we've been making to make 2015 a successful and peaceful and credible election, we have to also ensure that these are factored into our preparations for these two governorship elections.
Now, for giving support to the war against terrorism, the leader of the Boko Haram sect, Abubakar Shekau, has threatened to attack the United States government. In a new video allegedly released today in Maiduguri, the Borno state capital, Mr. Shekau vowed to attack the United States. The grounds of the group is the decision of the American government to offer assistance to Nigeria in fighting the insurgency. The U.S. had also classified the Boko Haram sect as a terrorist body alongside Al-Qaeda and other Islamist groups. Well, the international watchdog Human Rights Watch says lack of prosecution has fueled sectarian violence in Plateau and Kaduna states. During the presentation of a report on sectarian violence in Nigeria, the group's Nigeria researcher, Mr. Eric Gutchess, told a press conference in Abuja that no legal process was followed to bring the perpetrators to book. He also said that the police have failed to collect evidence properly and conduct proper investigations.
The failure of the police and other Nigerian authorities to bring to justice those who have carried out these crimes have helped fuel the violence. And these are not just, these findings have been, is not the first time some of these findings have, or the Human Rights Watch's findings are not the first. For example, the federal panel investigation that looked into the 2011 post-election violence in northern Nigeria, one of their findings was that the failure to bring the perpetrators of violence to book is a major contributory factor to the perpetration. This has been echoed time and time again by these panels and by the commissions, but unfortunately, rarely have the authorities been brought to justice. In many cases, witnesses said they had not gone to the police. And reasons they give it, some said they were afraid. They were afraid to go and report what they have seen. But the most common response that we got was the police will do nothing. And in many other witnesses who we interviewed as well said they had gone to the police. They had reported the crimes that they had seen to the police. They'd given them the information about the identity of the perpetrators. In some cases, they had gone back to follow up on their complaints.
Well, away from security matters now, and workers of the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, under the umbrella of the Petroleum and Natural Gas Senior Staff Association of Nigeria, have protested the plan by the federal government to sell the nation's oil refineries in Kaduna, Warri and Port Harcourt to private investors in the first quarter of 2014. The workers, who came out in their numbers at the headquarters of the corporation in Abuja, say the planned sale of the refineries is a wrong move by the federal government. Also, the group chairman of the National Union of Petroleum and Natural Gas Workers says the workers are opposed to the sale of the refineries as it will have a negative effect on the nation's economy. Well, the Lagos State government has reiterated its resolve to continue to seek ways of ensuring food security through its Youth Agriculture Empowerment Scheme. At the graduation of 285 youths from the scheme, Governor Babatunde Fashola explained that the scheme is one of his administration's initiatives aimed at curbing unemployment.
Election There are 285 of them, graduates from the Lagos State Youth Agricultural Empowerment Scheme, who are now full-fledged agro-entrepreneurs 6 months after undergoing an intensive training on different aspects of agriculture.
What was the policy? To take young people, young graduates, away from the allure and the clamor of desperation in the city looking for jobs that do not exist, and to bring them back to the foundations of the earth itself, to bring them back to the land. If we do not produce food, the banking industry itself will collapse. If we do not produce food, the factories will shut down. So that was the simple idea behind our Greek years.
The delighted graduates spoke on their career prospects.
I feel really privileged and honored to be a part of this program because it's been a time of great equipment and looking forward to provide solutions and to ensure food security not only in Lagos State but also in the environs of Lagos State and even in Nigeria and internationally.
We are shifting from a generation in which we have only the old farmers that work, but now we have the youth coming to play, to come and do farming. And since we are into cooperative, we work as a team so we can achieve better things. So there is no falling back or shifting away from the main focus.
Governor Babatunde Fashola also commissioned several projects in the farm settlement. 32 tons capacity quality cassava flour factory, 50,000 capacity automated 5-unit boiler houses, ram ranch and a feed mill, including 2.34 kilometers network of road within the institute and a 200-unit 2-bedroom apartment for the farmers. All these, according to the Lagos State government, is geared towards promoting food security as well as reducing unemployment in the state.
When the news at 10 returns, our big story tonight examines the federal government ASU deal. That's in a moment. Please join us again.